All right, y'all. Here we go. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Hey, I sincerely apologize for the madness last night. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight, man. Listen, here we go tonight. Here we go. It's time to dig into, just what America's going through, man. Just the lies and the deception that we are seeing, man. We are living in really dangerous times. Really dangerous times. Okay, I'm going to take this minute right here to make sure I address everybody that's in the chat. Starting at the bottom. Hey, Warrior, man, I would love to talk to you, sis. Nick, I appreciate you. Shout out to Nick and shout out to Taylor, man. They helped me get this audio together last night. Had some serious problems, man. I had no idea why. But anyway, Angry Conservative, I see you, brother. Hey, I'm even in the chat. Look at that. What up, Real Greg Kelly, Sugar Baby, Jennifer Myers, I need to call you. We need to talk. And Nana, always a pleasure to have you here. Welcome back to the Real Greg Kelly Show. We're going to get into this tonight. I'm not going to keep y'all waiting, man. And like I said at the beginning, like we really living in dangerous times. And I mean, we are in a bad situation because there are people in this world that run this country and countries abroad that really feel like they have the right to determine my future and that they have a right to determine your future. And it's really sickening. I mean, we are literally staring at the gates of hell. Literally staring at the gates of hell. I mean, the only people that would try to oppress another people and take everything that they hold near and dear to them are people that are anti-God. Nonetheless, we're just going to say, Satanist, period. People who love greed and people who are victimized by greed. They're the victim, or they want to turn America into the victim of their selfish, demonic agenda. I mean, we are on the brink of nuclear war, and it has nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. I know there are people out here, and I just want to say this because, I feel the pain that a lot of Americans are feeling, when they hear the reported narrative that Ukraine is being attacked by a man that has the mind of Hitler, a man that has the same agenda as Hitler, a man that people are comparing to Hitler. And I'm no Putin apologist. Not even close to it. Don't even know the man. Know very little about him, but I do know that from the early 90s, when he came into power in 1999, from that point up until 2008, he was quiet, and he was quiet for a reason because he made an agreement with parties in particular. Particularly the American government and the coalition of Nato. And I just want to, tonight, we're going to get into some things that, you're not hearing in mainstream. You're not going to hear it in mainstream because nobody's going to talk about it because it absolutely exposes the agenda of the extreme left and Joe Biden and his murderous campaign to join the globalists, to have Americans join the globalist society, surrender our rights, have nothing and own nothing, and just simply trust the government. America, at this point, can you trust the government? Can you trust what you see on mainstream news outlets? Can you trust what they have said? Let's not pretend. And I know we have American loyalists out here who love this country, who've fought for this country, and are still fighting for this country, who somehow seem to not be aware of the fact that the American government is one of the most tyrannical governments on the face of the earth with the most military power and the most political influence. And we're going to get into it tonight. I promise you, boy, you will be thoroughly enlightened. And I know some of this might be a little boring because we're going to be looking at an election, but y'all know the real Greg Kelly. I got some toys, boy, good God. I got some stuff tonight that's going to make you laugh in the midst of something that is just really, really bad. So just sit back, stay tuned. We're going to go into a quick station ID and I'll be right back. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to jump right in this. The topic of this is that the eagle and the bear have been on a collision course since the 90s, since the end of World War II, since the dissolving of the Soviet Union. America, including NATO, had been on a collision course to meet face to face with Vladimir Putin and the Russian army in a nuclear war. These weapons are deadly. These weapons are destruction. I want you to sit back. I want you to enjoy this first clip. And you be the judge tonight about whether or not we're being lied to or whether or not we're being told the truth. I personally think that we're being lied to. Here's clip one.
Joe Biden is a poor guardian over the
When you have U.S. senators in both parties saying we may need to go ahead and nuke Russia first, and the Russians are aware that's almost happened before, what do you think that makes the Russians do? Well, it makes them go into war mode. So I don't like them invading Ukraine. I don't like him putting his nuclear forces on maximum alert. Only one level above that on their DEFCON, just like our system, and that's fire the weapons. And so now we have Democrats all over the news saying, let's just use nuclear weapons on Russia. Think of their ignorance. Russia has hundreds of submarines off our coast with sea-launched missiles that would vaporize our cities within 5 minutes on average of being launched. Sea-launched cruise missiles that fly at Mach 5. Land launch systems they can also launch from ships that are at Mach 9 and cannot be shot down. And yes, the United States has those too. That's a Pentagon lie that Russia developed systems that we don't have. It's on record the U.S. has those systems. The point is, it's called mutually assured destruction, or MAD for a reason, because anyone that would violate the MAD doctrine is insane. And I'm on the side of not having a nuclear war, especially when Russia's not starting a fight with us, and especially after we just heard for years that everything happening in this country is run by Russia, when that was all a giant lie. The globalists are the outside evil force.
Attention, projectionist.
Okay, nuclear war, because there's simply some greedy people out here that run the government, politicians in particular. Politicians in particular. And the truth is, there are discrepancies of old, and there are discrepancies that are now readily in front of us, happening in real time. Right now, happening in real time. And then there's some that happen in the not so distant past. In the not so distant past. There are incidents that have taken place in this administration, even prior to this administration, but involving the same people, that are treasonous. And I just want you to know, America, if you want to know why we are in bed with Russia and we ain't, having fun, we at war, very close proximity, something that's been going on. If you want to know what's been going on behind the scenes that we haven't heard about in our mainstream media, tonight would be the night that again, I don't seek to change your idea. I just intend to give you a brand new perspective based off information that you're not hearing. I'm going to give you information. And before I get into the lectures with Professor Vladimir Posner, I want you to check out what went down right here in America with Joe Biden, the Ukrainian Burisma freaking energy company, totally corrupt. But check this out.
Joe Biden is a poor guardian over the diseased corruption piling up in his closet, emboldened by decades of lies. How else could someone, as new evidence reveals, be privately obsessed with covering his and his son Hunter's tracks of corruption in Ukraine, while publicly pretending he knows nothing about it?
These guys are attacking me and my family. I get it. And the press corps with me, they're all good people, follow me. They keep asking me, they just brought up your son Hunter and they're doing this and that, the other thing. Well, guess what? I don't hold grudges because presidents can't hold grudges.
Biden's house of cards is wobbling in the breeze as it becomes abundantly clear why Hunter Biden received $50,000 a month while sitting on Burisma's board of directors since 2014, despite having no energy, no environmental or managerial experience.
You did not list the fact that you were the son of the vice president.
Yeah. No.
What role do you think that played? I think that it is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the Vice President of the United States.
While Joe Biden was funneled $900,000 for, quote, lobbying activities, end quote, by Burisma Group, according to a criminal case spearheaded by Ukraine's parliamentarian Andriy Derkach.
Do you think we're going to hear on the press that a member of the parliament in Ukraine held a press conference today, and name was Andriy Derkach? You won't hear this on the news, ladies and gentlemen, because they censor it. You only get the news that Dems want you to hear. Derkach publicized documents which he said describe the mechanism for getting money by Biden Sr. This was a transfer of funds for lobbying activities, as investigators believe, to Joe Biden through a lobbying company. Funds in the amount of $900,000 were transferred to the U.S.-based company Rosemont Seneca, which, according to open sources, is affiliated with Biden.
As Jamie White reported, MP Derkach released audio of Biden and former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry discussing the firing of Prosecutor General Victor Shokin, who was investigating Hunter Biden's involvement in the Ukraine energy firm Burisma.
In the energy firm called Burisma. Now, I'm not going to talk too much because I want you to keep following the thread. All right, so here we go. We got the vice president's son in a position of authority and leadership in an energy company as a manager, has no prior history to energy relations or any prior history to managing anything for that fucking matter. Oh, oops, I'm sorry. I just dropped the F-bomb. My bad. I don't do that no more. Okay, so now he's funneling money back to the United States, and it's coming out of the country, Ukraine. And again, we haven't even touched the historical relations between America and Ukraine. We're going to get to that. But I want you to see this. He's having a conversation, and Joe Biden is now seeking to get Hunter out of a jam because Hunter got jammed up. There's an investigation being launched into his activities. I want you to see exactly what takes place.
President Biden comes, I just wanted to try to urge you to see if there's a way to get by this problem of replacing the Prosecutor General, Shokin, because from our perception, he's blocked the cleanup of the Prosecutor General's office, and I know the Vice President is very concerned about it, and I think it'd be good to try to have some resolution of that before the Vice President comes, if it's possible.
Yesterday, I met with the General Prosecutor Shokin.
Yes.
And despite of the fact that we didn't have any corruption charges, we don't have any information about he doing something wrong, I especially asked him to resign. 1 hour ago, he bring me the written statement of his resignation.
Great.
And this is my second step of keeping my promises.
I agree. Do you mean that there is a new government and a new prosecutor general? I am prepared to do a public signing of the commitment for the $1 billion. Again, I'm not suggesting that that's what you want or don't want. I'm just suggesting that that's what we're prepared to do. And again, it wouldn't be finalized until, the IMF pieces are written.
Extremely strong motivation. One of the possible candidates was leader of my faction, Lutsenko, who is the public figure. If you think that the political motivated figure would be not very good from your point of view, I recall this proposal. I do not propose, because nobody knows that I want to propose Lutsenko.
But congratulations on installing the new prosecutor general. It's going to be critical for him to work quickly to repair the damage Shokin did. And I'm a man of my word. And that now that the new prosecutor general is in place, we're ready to move forward in signing that new $1 billion loan guarantee.
It was me who support you all the time. It was me who give you, in a violation of law, the security guard from the Secret Services for you not afraid anything. It was me who insisted and support all your initiatives.
I don't want Trump to get in a position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be
look to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the details. So anything you can do to push the Privat Bank to closure so that the IMF loan comes forward, I would respectfully suggest is critically important to your economic as well as physical security.
Okay. You don't have to believe that's actual audio footage, but it is. I'm just presenting the information. You do with it what you choose to do. But just look at the ramifications. Look at the implications right here. The ramifications, number one, the blowback, the threat of nuclear war is at our fucking doorstep. God damn it, I did it again. Okay, I'm sorry. Is at our doorstep because there's an individual back here doing under the table deals with an energy company in Burisma. He's actually having the investigator of his son removed from from his position of power and authority, and he's going to bring somebody in that's likable to the president. I wonder what that's called. Does anybody know what that's called? Yeah, it's pretty interesting, huh? So now they're manipulating, seats of authority with money. We're talking about the American people. Not the American people, I'm sorry. The American government, because that's definitely not the American people, because that's only one person. But Joe Biden, his son, and other governmental officials, politicians, are orchestrating seats of authority, even all the way up to the president of another nation because of their, economic influence. And remember the first clip, it's like, what do you do when somebody says we should go ahead and nuke Russia and before they nuke us? And what do you think that puts Russia in what position does that put Russia in? A lot of people ain't talking about that. They don't want to talk about that. They want to tell us that, Vladimir Putin is Hitler and spread all of this ugly, nasty propaganda painting Russia as black, period. Just destructive and negative and evil. But we're not able to see our own evil. We're not able to see, a lot of us, especially some of my liberal and Democrat friends, not able to see that the American government, the CIA, have been responsible for some of the most atrocious, actions ever taken against humanity. Here we go, clip 3, just so you can get to the end of this before we go into our next segment, which will be the lectures from Vladimir Posner. A man that knows all about, Russian economy, knows all about, Russian philosophy. He's one of those guys. But here's clip 3 of the remainder of this caught red-handed deal with not Barack Obama. He was definitely involved, just not seen here, but he's definitely got his hand in it with Joe Biden, his son, and the energy company Burisma in Ukraine.
And as Kellen McBreen reported, Ukraine's parliamentarian Andriy Derkach, who is heading a criminal case on interference in the 2016 U.S. elections, provided charts and images showing the connection between Burisma and U.S.-based company Rosemont Seneca Partners, which was co-founded by Hunter Biden. Derkach says this was the transfer of Burisma Group's funds for lobbying activities, as investigators believe personally, to Joe Biden through a lobbying company. Funds in the amount of $900,000 were transferred to the U.S.-based company Rosemont Seneca Partners, which, according to open sources, in particular the New York Times, is affiliated with Biden. The payment reference was payment for consultative services. Derkach continues saying, using political and economic levelers of influencing Ukrainian authorities and manipulating the issue of providing financial aid to Ukraine, Joe Biden actively assisted closing criminal cases into the activity of former Ukrainian ecology minister Mykola Zlochevsky, who is the founder and owner of Burisma Group. And now Senate Republicans have voted to authorize their first subpoena for Blue Star Strategies, another consulting firm linked to Burisma, as part of their investigation into Hunter Biden.
Members of this committee, I urge you to vote against this political sideshow so that we can focus our attention on the pandemic that is threatening the lives and livelihood of the American people.
The motion is on the question before us.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent that I have an opportunity to speak for 5 minutes.
Sorry, I couldn't understand you.
I ask unanimous consent to speak for 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, I can't understand the muffled.
I ask unanimous consent to speak for 5 minutes, please.
After we take the vote. By far, what most of us have spent our time on is addressing this horrific crisis that faces this nation. Again, it was not my desire to even publicize these subpoenas. I just wanted to gather the information. I just wanted to make sure the American people understand the truth.
So don't nobody want to investigate Joe Biden's dealing with his son, Hunter Biden, in Ukraine with the energy company Burisma. Very, very interesting. Very interesting.
The public deserves to know how a guy who was vice president of the United States, who is currently trying to be president, got away with using the U.S. government to force a foreign country to stop investigating a company that was paying his son over $30,000 or $80,000 a month.
But even though Biden allegedly used his VP office to funnel millions to his son and himself in league with a corrupt foreign energy company that was under investigation, while at the same time moronically bragging about his own criminal activity.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
It's doubtful that Washington, D.C. will face its cancerous corruption. Ultimately, it will be up to the American people. John Bound reporting.
All of this information is interesting, man. I mean, it's like, okay, Burisma, they're having hearings. They don't want the hearings to happen. They're not really investigating it because it's Joe Biden, the vice president, former vice president, now president. So why is Hunter Biden in Ukraine doing underhanded deals and, Joe Biden getting money? All of this plays a role in what we're seeing now take place in Ukraine. And this is information, America, that is just, it's readily available. It's readily available. Anybody can go find these interviews. Anybody can go find Joe Biden, really just publicly announcing that a quid pro quo was being carried out not only on his watch, but he was the assailant. He was the one committing the crime. And we all know that this is exactly what he accused Donald Trump of doing. Exactly. So there's a common thread with American politicians with the media arm of propaganda saying the things that they're accusing others is exactly what they're doing behind closed doors. I want to make sure you get this. We're going to take a quick pause, but I do want to address a question. I asked somebody to put their questions in the chat. If you do have a question, you can definitely put your questions in the chat at any time. And if anybody wants to come in, just have a verbal conversation, you can call in at the RGKS hotline at 562-542-3185. Look, call in and I'll have a conversation with you here on air, period. I don't care if you're liberal, moderate. I don't care what you are, conservative, patriot, doesn't matter. If you want to talk, you can definitely come on the show. Tell me what you think about the information that you see so far. I would love to know your thoughts. And trust me, it gets a whole lot deeper. But I just wanted you to get, the information that's right here available, readily available. And then we're going to go into, one French Russian American who will enlighten you, I guarantee, and tell you the truth about the real reason that, once again, America finds itself in a war. Why weren't there any wars 4 years ago? Why weren't there any wars then? And why all of a sudden with the, on the brink of the Great Reset with Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum and their desire to go green and have casteless societies, we see what's happening in Canada, America. That's the result of a casteless society where a federal government can seize your assets immediately and close every access point that you have to your money. This is what they want to bring to America, and they're using Ukraine as a smokescreen, amongst other things. And I just want to tell you about it. That's all. I don't want nobody to get upset with me. I've had so many people, some of my fellow brothers back from 102, call me a traitor because I don't believe that America is squeaky clean when it comes to foreign policy. I don't think that at all. Okay, here we go. Before we transition to our next segment, I want you to think back to the State of the Union address where Joe Biden declared, fund the police. Fund the police, I said. That's the only way America can survive is if we fund the police. But I don't think that's what he said or what his constituents said months before this took place. Really don't. As a matter of fact, what Joe Biden was saying is, I thought he shit himself. Because he knew he was lying. I mean, he was talking to, fund the police, fund the police. Oh my God. Oh my God. I just shit myself. Oh God. Okay, I gotta squeeze. And the American people, I want you to know that the Build Back Better plan passed the Build Back Better plan. We're going to take a pause real quick, and we're going to go into something real hilarious. I mean, to me, it's hilarious anyway. Something really hilarious. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show, and I want you to hear what these fools say, and then remember what Joe Biden said.
So we've been talking about defunding the police.
There's some issues that we ask police to do, like mental health issues or policing in schools and all the rest, that perhaps we can shuffle some of that money around.
Suck it up. Defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police.
Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million.
I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
Not only do we need to disinvest in police, but we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
So yes, defund your butts. Defund you.
Yes, I support the reallocation of resources from NYPD.
We will be moving funding from the NYPD to youth initiatives and social services.
They are talking about reducing the allocation of resources to that department. And I think every single city in this country ought to be thinking about the same thing.
Yes, I support the defund movement. I'm for responsible reallocation of resources.
And defund the police.
I think you do all those other things, you don't need all the money that's going to the police department. So yeah, I mean, the spirit of it, I do support that.
Yeah, and a lot of us were asked if we could imagine a future without police back in 2017 when we were running for office. And I answered yes to that question.
We are going to reduce funding in the police department and redirect that money.
There's no reason the police budget should just keep growing and growing and growing. They can make sensible cuts to policing.
We propose to redirect over $7 million from the police bureau.
That our city, through our city administrative officer, identified $250 million in cuts.
Rashida Tlaib tweeting, no more policing, incarceration, and militarization. It can't be reformed.
When they're saying defund the police, what are they saying? They're saying we want fundamental, basic change when it comes to policing. And they're right.
We are reallocating funds. The police department here in Minneapolis needs to be dismantled, and we need to start anew.
In some necessary cases, completely dismantling those police forces.
Police departments are taking a sizable amount of the budget of a lot of municipalities and other entities. We need to look at those budgets, pull some of the money back, and invest it in other things.
We are committed to shifting resources.
Our calls to defund the police have been met with resistance.
To stop investing.
Okay. Damn. All right, so does Joe Biden want to defund the police or not? Do the Democrats and the extreme far left party, do they want to defund the police or not? Are these not the words of the Democratic Party? I think it is. So don't be tricked. They think we're stupid, man. They think that we don't remember the things that they've said. They think that we're not recording. Some of y'all that know how to use OBS and, screen capture, they don't think Americans are smart enough to check the facts. I mean, we've been checking the facts, y'all. You know why? Because we American. Damn it. They think they really believe we're stupid. I would go into the whole Kamala Harris thing where she was on somebody's radio show and broke it down. Hey, tell us in layman's terms, for the people who can't comprehend, for the third grade 44-year-old that don't seem to know what's going on. Well, Ukraine is a country in Europe, and it is bordering to a country called Russia that is a bigger country, and Ukraine is a smaller country. And Russia, the bigger country, decided to invade Ukraine, the smaller country. And that's not right. I mean, when was the last time you had a conversation with somebody as an adult that sounded like that? I mean, come on, man. Come on, y'all. All right, here we go. On the brink of war and for what? But before I go there, I got to tell y'all what Bear said. Bear said Das Sniffer is hypocrite and the Democrats who are now for the police. During an election period, by the way, the Democrats are the party of Poles. Yes. You have vodka? Do you have vodka? I want vodka. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and transition into the second segment. Vladimir Posner breaking down the Ukraine crisis from a Russian perspective. From a Russian perspective. Don't get it twisted. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. And here we go.
Say, first of all, that we are at an extremely dangerous moment today. Never have the relations between Russia and the United States, or the Soviet Union, that's what it was before, been at this level. During the worst times of the Cold War, when I was living in the Soviet Union, and I remember all that very, very well. Russians were anti-White House, anti-Wall Street, but not anti-American in their vast majority. In fact, there was a kind of a warm feeling vis-a-vis Americans. Today, that's different. Today, it's anti-American at the grassroots level. And there's a reason for it.
There is definitely a reason for it. And the reason for it, don't nobody want to talk about. Not in our mainstream media outlets. Remember that. Nobody wants to talk about this. I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to keep doing all the talking. I talk too much as it is, and y'all know that. Here we go.
What just happened? Why are we at the point that we are today? And I'm not saying who's to blame, because that's not a productive way of looking at things. But we should try to understand exactly what did happen. The Soviet Union, once Gorbachev took over, didn't really last very long. He came to power in March of 1985, and by December 1991, there was no more Soviet Union. Some people say it collapsed. It didn't collapse. In a place called the Belaruskaya Pushcha, which is a kind of a forest, 3 presidents, the president of Ukraine, the president of Belarus, and the president of Russia proper, Mr. Yeltsin, decided to part company, decided to disband the Soviet Union. Now, each had his own reasons, definitely. But if we look at Mr. Yeltsin, his reason was very clear. He was the president of Russia, so he was number 2 to Gorbachev, because Gorbachev was president of the Soviet Union, of which Russia was part, the largest part, but only part. Get rid of the Soviet Union, and there's no president, and you get rid of Gorbachev. And that's precisely what he did.
I keep forgetting to hit the unmute button. My bad. So I want you to go. I put down in the link in the description a document that will share with you the dissolving. It's called the Baker-Gorbachev Agreement. The link to that is in the description. I want you to go see it for yourself. I do not want you, my fellow Americans, I do not want you to take my word for it. I really don't. I want you to go and do your own research. Okay? I want you to do your own research. And this is why we're on the brink of nuclear threat. This is why. What you just heard some agreements that have been made that have been broken. It has nothing to do with Vladimir Putin being Hitler. Don't ever believe that. Not because I said so. So again, the nuclear threat is real, and this is why.
Not a deliberate nuclear exchange, but an accidental one has grown because the level of mistrust between the two countries has grown as well. There have been several times in the past when computers warned of a nuclear attack, but it never got to the real thing because people took the time to really check it out. Now, they didn't have a long time. If an ICBM is launched from Russia, it'll take about 10 minutes for it to hit the US. So you don't have and vice versa, obviously. So you don't have a long time, but you do have some. My feeling is that if today those same computers malfunctioned and said on either side that an attack has been launched, the response would be immediate. Because the feeling is that this is what's going to happen.
Okay, so just to put this in perspective, there are terrorists all over the globe that could get their hands on nuclear weapons and assault either one of these nations at any time and blame it on the opposing nation. I say accident. So the nuclear system is monitored by U.S. military facilities, and they use artificial intelligence to disperse and share information back and forth, whether or not there are threats and the condition of, the missiles that could be launched at the press of a button. They have to always be ready. So there is stringent, and I mean intense, very deliberate monitoring of these nuclear weapons at nuclear facilities. And just because AI, artificial intelligence, is not human, which is prone to mistakes, but a digital intelligence is even more prone to mistakes. I want you to remember that. Apparently, somebody is trying to call in to the Real Greg Kelly Show. Call me back. I love to hear what you have to say, but don't call me in the middle of a clip. You know who you are. Holy smoke. Want to give a shout out to Amanda Raw. What's up, girl? I appreciate you. Willow Anderson in the house. Thanks for being here. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. Our next segment. Okay, here we go. Before we get into that, we do have a caller. Give me 1 second.
Call from. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press.
All right, you live on there. This is Greg Kelly. Who am I talking with?
Hello, this is Russian Bear.
Oh my God. How you doing, Russian Bear? How you doing, brother?
Russian Bear doing good. I want to comment on what you call Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes, you're free to comment. Yes.
Okay. I watched clips on Conservative Chicano channel, and I saw a clip that Kamala Harris said, when you vote Democrat, it's like going and ordering what you say fast food. And she said, you got what you deserve, or you got what you ordered. I'm sorry, my English is broken.
It's good. It's good. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for calling. Come on, I'm listening. Everybody's listening to you.
Can you comment on what you think American Vice President meant about ordering and getting what you ordered? Thank you. You have a good night.
Thank you for calling in, Russian Bear. That's awesome. I'll answer you. If you're watching the show, I'll answer you through the stream. Thank you for calling in. Thanks again. Bye. Russian freaking Bear. Okay, so let's get into it. We know that cybersecurity is an issue here in this country. It's an issue for many countries. And, we continuously hear about cyber attacks as Amanda so beautifully stated here in this comment. All it takes is a hack or malfunction and Russian radar alerts. Then, alerts them of an attack. Putin already publicly said he will arrest immediately or should I say, he will respond immediately with force we have never seen in history. That's exactly what he said. Like what? So many people hate us. They are just waiting for an opportunity to try and destroy us. Amanda, I 100% agree with you. And it's because of these invasions of other countries that, we think, oh, we're going over there to establish democracy. I mean, we're so blind. We like Ray Charles. Well, we know that America is a free country. Hey, pass me that right there. Come on, let me get that. America, free country. America always do good. It's always do good. And I love America. America gave me an opportunity to do my music, and they let me be free. But we bad. I don't know what we doing, but somebody said we were doing something bad, but I can't see it. And that's that's what's really going on in America. Some people, not all of us, there are people who don't seem to think that America has any issue. So the issue is there's a nuclear threat and it's real. And NATO and America, they're not just saying right now, what do we do with Russia? They've been saying that for years. Hey, Russian Bear, you're in there. Hey, Russian Bear, I ain't forget about the question. But I want to talk to you. Let's go to clip 4. What do we do with Russia?
So no more Soviet Union, quickly no more Warsaw Pact, of course. That is to say, countries that were usually called Soviet satellites and part of a military alliance with the Soviet Union. That alliance disappeared. And so the United States had to figure out, how do we deal with this new entity called Russia? How do we deal with it? There's no more Soviet Union. What is going to be U.S. policy vis-a-vis this country? And of course, Yeltsin also had to think about what is going to be Russia's attitude towards the United States. You may remember that soon after the Soviet Union ceased to exist, I think it was February of 1992, Yeltsin came to the United States and he addressed a joint session of Congress. And he said, the people of Russia are offering their hand to the people of the United States in friendship to build a better world, a world without war, a world without peace. And this was exactly what the vast majority of Russians wanted. And I would even say that today, the vast majority of Russians would like to have, if not a friendship with the United States, at least a partnership. There's no doubt to my mind that that's the case. So that was what Yeltsin wanted. And what kind of response did he get? What kind of response did Russia get? Well, the United States could have picked two ways of treating Russia. One was to say, let's treat Russia like we did our enemies after World War II. Germany, Italy, and then some of the countries that were occupied, such as France, or were not occupied, such as UK, but were really badly hurt. Let's find a way to see to it that in those countries, Nazis, fascists do not come back and communists do not come to power. And may I remind you that in those days, the Communist Party of France and the Communist Party of Italy were very, very powerful.
Yeah, they were very, very powerful. But communism was common at the time. That makes sense. Communism, a very common thing in that day and time. So it's starting to look more and more like, I mean, this is coming from somebody who has residence, who is a citizen of Russia, who is more qualified to tell us, the emotional climate, the atmospheric climate of Russian people and their feelings and emotions toward America. Nobody's more qualified than somebody that lives in that nation. Way more qualified than, let's say, Don Lemon. Don Lemonhead. All right. So the stage is being set here. And the question is, what do we do with Russia? Well, they came up with a plan. It's called the Marshall Plan. Just watch this. Now, I want you to keep in mind. I want you to keep this in mind. I want you to keep this right here in mind, that Russia's not invading Ukraine because they have nothing else better to do. And at the end of this, I'm going to try to get through as much of this as possible. But at the end of this show, you'll understand that this is not Vladimir Putin being Hitler. This is Vladimir Putin saying, I don't trust you. You've lied to us before. But this is what the original plan was for Russia. Check this out.
And that plan turned out was called later the Marshall Plan, which was basically a financial idea to spend a lot of money, but in a very precise way, to develop certain things and not to allow others to develop. Now, that could be the policy to adopt vis-a-vis Russia. See to it that democracy begins to develop in that country. And let me say, just for the record, Russia never, in its entire 1,000 years, never had democracy. Completely absent. So it wasn't like something that once upon a time Russians had and then they lost, but they knew what it was. They didn't know what it was. So let's spend money on getting democracy moving in Russia and seeing to it that the communists do not get back. And that could have been one approach. The other approach was to say, for 40 years, you held a nuclear bomb over our heads. You lost the Cold War, and you're going to pay for it. You're going to be punished for what you did. And there were people who supported one view and people who supported the other in this country.
Why do I keep doing that? I keep doing that. You can't just keep going around the countries of the world and enforcing your political influence on people that don't really want to engage. And you make all of these promises, all of these financial promises and economic promises and promises of energy dominance and promises of freedom. But the truth is, there are nations and people in other nations that appreciate what they already have. And like, what gives us the right to go and impose our will on others? Hey, Stacey, I see you. I can't type right now. But thanks for responding. I mean, there are nations that want to be left alone. And according to this next document, just so you know, the Marshall Plan, the link is down in the description. You should go read it. My fellow Americans, you should go read this. You should go check it out and see exactly what the Marshall Plan is about. Even though he explained it, go read it word for word, detail for detail. Go read it. Just go check it out for yourselves. Don't believe me. Don't believe what he said. Professor Vladimir Posner. Don't believe what we say. Go get it for yourself. We're going to take a pause here. Commercial break. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share the video. People need to see what's going on. I'll be right back after this brief commercial. This is the Real Greg Kelly Show.
Hi, I'm Bill Gates. I want to give you some shots that are going to kill a lot of people and do hurt you, but we're going to be indemnified by governments, taxpayers. Also, my dad did run Planned Parenthood, and I do believe in depopulation and killing old people. But it's okay because I'm wearing a pink sweater.
I'm wearing a pink sweater, y'all. Wearing a pink sweater. I couldn't get into what I wanted to get into, but hey, you get the message, right? Hi, I'm Bill Gates. We're going to pause for a quick station identification. I'll be right back. Okay. All right. So far, we've heard about the Marshall Plan. We're going to build up Ukraine and we're going to keep Russia out of the loop as long as we can. We're gonna bring democracy to Ukraine, right to Russia's borders, even though they knew that this would cause a nuclear conflict, because Vladimir Putin has made it clear this is unacceptable. The expansion of NATO east toward Russian borders is not acceptable. And they've been knowing this since 2000. This country, NATO's been knowing it. Our leaders, our government officials, politicians, lobbyists, they've all been knowing it. It has not been a secret, America. It has not been a secret. And I want you to know that it has not been a secret. There is no justification for this. So clip 6. Here's another very valid document. You can find the link to it down in the description. It's called the Wolfowitz Doctrine. It's going to shock you as to what this is.
Early in 1992, a document was produced in the United States by a gentleman called Paul Wolfowitz. You may know who he was. He was Undersecretary of Defense of the United States, responsible for policy. The document he produced came to be called the Wolfowitz Doctrine. Not officially, but that's the way it was addressed. It later was incorporated in something that is officially called the Bush Doctrine. That document was leaked to the New York Times, and so it became public. And what it basically said, and you can look it up, it's available, just go to Wolfowitz Doctrine and you'll find it. What it basically said was this: the United States should never again allow any other country to challenge it. The United States must remain the superior country. And we should tell our allies not to worry about developing their own weapons, because we will do that for them.
I would love everybody to go and check out the Wolfowitz Doctrine. The link is down in the description. Please, please, please go see this. Please go look at this. The Wolfowitz Doctrine. It is down in the bottom of the description. I want you to please look at this.
And we must watch out for Russia, because we don't know which way it's going to go. The bear might get up on his hind legs again and growl.
Okay. I hope it's being made clear to you at this point. Just kind of funneling through the information. America must remain the global superpower, the most dominant military force and economic force in the world. And you cannot challenge us. If we come and knock on your door and say, hey, we have Girl Scout cookies for you, you can't tell them you don't want the Girl Scout cookies. Oh, you don't want the Girl Scout cookies? Well, we're going to give you the cookie. We treat you like, hey, eat the cake out of me. Eat the damn cake. All right, we're going to make you eat the cookies, and we're going to make you eat the cake. We're going to make you do it. We're going to make you eat the cake. You're going to take this deal. You're going to become a democracy, whether you like it or not. And this is the kind of force that's being, brought upon just regular old people. An agreement was made between Russia and NATO. An agreement. The agreement was broken. Watch this.
Edward Kennedy said that it was an imperialist document that no country could or should accept. It was quickly, as it were, removed and rewritten by Mr. Cheney, not a very liberal man in any sense as far as I can remember, and the Secretary of Defense in those days, Mr. Powell. But basically, it retained that view. Russia and America must be the only superpower. And basically, that view was the one that was accepted. It was the one that was accepted. And the attitude towards Russia was pretty much, you're no longer a superpower. You are a second-rate country. Just keep quiet, please. This became evident and would be evident to you if you follow the policy of the United States. Now, let's begin with going back to Gorbachev and his meetings when he was asked by several people, all of them quite important, to allow Germany to reunite and take down the Berlin Wall. And he was told by James Baker, and now this is not many people, I mean, when I would say this, many people would say, it's not true, it's not true. He was told by James Baker, if this happens, NATO will not move 1 inch eastward. Well, not long ago, on December 12th, 2017, the National Defense Archives of George Washington University declassified the minutes of the Baker-Gorbachev discussion, and it's there. But it's not only Baker who said that to him. There were several people did. The German leadership did, West German at those days, and so on. And finally, I'm not saying, I don't know whether Gorbachev could have stopped Germany from reuniting, but the fact of the matter is that they said yes and took down the Berlin Wall. And NATO stayed put. It stayed put in those days. It stayed put under Bush Sr. It stayed put during the first 4 years of Clinton. But in the next 4 years, in 1996 approximately, a decision was taken to enlarge NATO. 3 countries, Poland, the Czech Republic, and Hungary.
Okay, I hope you're following the thread here. So the Soviet Union didn't fall. There was an agreement made between Mikhail Gorbachev and Western German leaders and NATO and America. And the agreement was, okay, Germany can become a country. We'll, reunite Germany, but we will not expand NATO eastward. We're not going to do that. Mikhail Gorbachev told him, I put the link to that article down in the description. You can check it out. I want you to check it out. I hope everybody goes down and gets those archives that I put out there. And they said, you know what? We won't expand NATO eastward. And that's all they've been doing since the 90s. If you watch my first video on this subject matter, it was called Surrounded by Blue. There's something really fishy about a bunch of democracy surrounding a republic. Russia is an independent republic. They want to remain independent. I don't necessarily agree with their policies or agree with how they govern their people. But what I am saying is this. What does kind of bother me is this. Our news outlets and our federal government is lying to us and engaging us in a potentially nuclear war. And we're just kind of, nothing's going to happen. Ukraine's got this. No, they don't have this. They don't have this. There hasn't been a full-scale invasion. There's only been special forces invasions that were strategically targeting bioweaponry labs. I don't want to get into that. I should have put that in the description, but I didn't put that in the description. But there are several of you here in this chat room that know exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen the articles, you've seen the maps, you've heard the reports. But I want you to understand that the agreement was broken. We're not going to expand, but Germany can become a nation, but we are not going to expand. We're not going to expand. We're going to keep NATO in check. And something happened as a result of that. And I want you to see it. But I also want you to get a grasp of this. The people that are in our White House that can say, oh, they never saw this coming or this is insane. Listen, there are, beautiful minds that saw this coming before 2000. Before 2000, very prominent people knew that the expansion of NATO would bring Russia to a point where they were ready to go to war at all costs and lay it all on the line. People knew this. And I'm going to show you. Just listen to this, brother.
When this happened, this is 1998, he called up George Kennan. I don't know if you're all aware who George Kennan was, but he was one, in my opinion, perhaps one of the most brilliant minds, political minds of the United States, the second half of the 20th century, the man who devised the idea of containment of the Soviet Union rather than war against the Soviet Union, successfully did this. So, a brilliant man who established the very foundation of U.S. policy vis-a-vis the Soviet Union. So Thomas Friedman called him up. The article he published in the New York Times is called Foreign Affairs, Now a Word from X. Why X? Because in 1947, in the magazine Foreign Affairs, Mr. Kennan had published this article about containment, and he signed it X. So he called him up and he asked him, what did he think about this decision to enlarge NATO? Let me quote. I think, this is May 2nd, 1998. I think it is the beginning of a new Cold War, said Mr. Kennan from his Princeton home. I think the Russians will gradually react quite adversely, and it will affect their policies. I think it is a tragic mistake. There was no reason for this whatsoever.
What will be the response? I think Russia will respond quite aggressively. I'm just changing the man's words because that's exactly what we're seeing, is that Russia has had enough of the lies. Russia has had enough of being pushed to the side. Russia has had enough of giving America's favors and doing America's favors. Look, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. But before I do, listen, I have a ton of information. I probably have 6 more clips. And if you want me to continue and not chop this up into 2 segments, put a 1 in the chat. If not, I will continue this and do a part 2. I have no issue with that, but I want to leave it up to y'all, man. I want y'all to engage with me. I really appreciate your insight. I appreciate your feedback. And I appreciate your support for those of you who do support, the Real Greg Kelly Show. And, if you want to support the show, I guess you kind of might know how to do it. I mean, if you don't, this is how you can donate to the Cash App if you want to continue. But if you want me to continue tonight and not break this up into 2 segments, put a 1 in the chat. I'll keep going. I don't have anything else to do, but I really want you to get this information. I swear I want you to know, because I'm so fed up with America being, okay, wow, that's a lot of 1s. I'm so fed up. Thank you guys, man. I really appreciate it. I'm really fed up with people being lied to in our mainstream media. I really am. I'm really tired of it. The war was seen afar off. That's really what I'm getting back at right here, is that people saw this coming. America knew this was coming. NATO knew this was coming, and they did nothing to stop it. And now they're just spinning all of these lies, telling, through our mainstream media, telling us that, Putin is Hitler. We have to stop him. Lindsey Graham saying we need to assassinate the man. And somebody in Russia needs to kill him. Some soldier in America needs to get a hold of him and kill him. They're lying to us. We're being played. And I'm so sick of it, man. I'm ready to vomit because these people have been lying. For so long. Let's not pretend, y'all. Let's not pretend that America has not been involved in atrocious acts. Come on. We don't even have to go that far back. 9/11 was an inside job and everybody know it. The justification for invading Iraq. There were no weapons of mass destruction, man. There were no weapons of mass destruction. And America, you need to realize that. Like, we need to stop this denial thing. We need to stop the BLM. We need to stop the defund the police bull crap. The politically correct. You know, the Rainbow Coalition. That doesn't mean anything. What means something is that we have been infiltrated. And these people are lying to us, man. Like man said, even Bay of Pigs. Like, it's real. And we just keep sitting back, pretending that, oh, America's so great. Oh, America's so free. We ain't even free no more. They're doing everything they can to take what we do have left away from us. Oh, my God, man. I'm serious. Like, damn. All right, we're going to pause for a minute. I'm going to come right back to you after this commercial break. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. I appreciate everybody in the chat, your activity in the chat. If you want to come up, I'm going to put the number back in. Please come up on the show. I want to know what you think, what your thoughts are, what your ideas are. We'll be right back.
I love soy lattes. We should be releasing people from jail. There are way too many prisoners out there. Why can't we all just coexist? If it were up to me, I'd arrest and jail anyone involved with January 6th. Homeless people should be able to live in the streets unbothered. If people don't want to obey government mandates, we should ruin their lives. And if they get the virus, we should just let them die. I don't understand anyone who disagrees with this. I think Occupy Wall Street and Occupy Seattle are good ways to push back against corruption and make people aware. The Canadian truckers and the Freedom Convoy are terrorists, and every single one of them should be treated as such. Bank accounts frozen and arrested. Absolutely. Why can't we all just coexist? Vladimir Putin is a dictator and a bad person. Justin Trudeau is a true hero. And what great hair. We need more politicians like him. I will always be anti-war. Except when a Democrat is in office. There is no reason for an American to have or need a gun. We need to arm the Ukrainians right now. I'm an expert on viruses.
Okay, y'all. Welcome back to the Real Greg Kelly Show. I hope y'all liked that commercial by Owen Schroyer. I thought it was funny. I really did. Thought it was awesome. So I want to get in the chat real fast. I thank you guys for, posting all your comments. I mean, for real, this is how I want to engage with you guys. I appreciate you guys doing that. I want to talk about what Willow said. Willow said, American politicians, elites, are the bad guys. The American people pay the price for their bullshit. And they have for decades. And it's an absolute fact. For decades. I'm talking about, atrocity after atrocity. Amanda, I also want to address you, sis. They will literally say anything to get us to believe that bullshit. Like, wow. I'm so glad there are people that are awake in this chat room. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Holy smoke. Man. It does my heart good to know that people can see, man. I mean, literally, these people will say anything to get us to back us. Same thing happened in Vietnam. Same thing happened with 9/11. The Middle East, Iraq is the axis of evil. They have weapons of mass destruction. You heard that shit every day, night and day. This is how they run their MK Ultra programming programs. To program American citizens to buy their bullshit. Pardon my language. I'm sorry. Okay. Promises were broken. This is where we need to get into this. So you heard about the agreement for NATO not to expand eastward toward Russian borders. Well, they did. And they continue to do it today. And it's like, wow, you promised. You promised. We kept our part of the bargain. And you promised you would keep yours. Broken promises. Next clip.
That decision, and now I'm giving you my opinion, is what really started this relation, turning it south, as you might say. That's where it all began. Because the Russian reaction, and specifically this is 1998, so this is Yeltsin, late Yeltsin, was, you promised not to do this. So how do we trust you if you make a promise? I would also like you to perhaps try to solve a little problem. It's a kind of not mathematical. Take the time from when Gorbachev came to power, March 1985, to 2007, when Putin has been in power for 7 years. That's 22 years. I ask you to find a single thing in foreign or domestic policies done by the Soviet Union while it still existed, and then Russia proper, that might in any way anger, irk, disappoint the United States. Let me answer that for you. Nothing. Not one thing during that period.
All right, so I challenge anybody to find any incident that Russia might have been involved in during those times. I can't hold all this information, so you have the clip. I hope y'all took some notes. I told you to take notes because this is going to be massive, right? I was serious. So, like, where was the Soviet Union? Like, were they invading other countries, stealing property? Was he acting like Hitler? Was Putin acting like Hitler? No, he wasn't. And, Russia kept their part of the bargain, right? So what reward did Russia get for keeping their end of the bargain? What was the reward of Russia for doing exactly what they agreed to do? I'll tell you what. Well, I won't tell you what. Vladimir Putin will tell you exactly what Russia got for honoring the pact, honoring the agreement. Check this out.
Now, what did Russia get as a result of that? First, the enlargement of NATO. So that was number one. Then the bombing of Yugoslavia. That was done by NATO, and NATO is, after all, dependent mostly on the United States, let's face it, right? The UN did not condone this. So the bombing of Yugoslavia, that's from March 24th, 99 to June 10th, 99. Then Kosovo and recognition of Kosovo, although it had been part of Serbia for centuries. And there were people in Russia who said, you're letting the gin out of the bottle. Because if you do this, then there are other countries that will do the same. And Russia did the same vis-a-vis Abkhazia to begin with, okay? Yeltsin was very angry. He made a speech. He said, and of course this is very Yeltsin-like, he said, we're not Haiti. You can't treat us like Haiti. We're a great country. We have a great past, and Russia will come back. Russia will come back. He was really, really angered. Didn't say the politically correct thing, but he spoke his mind.
He didn't say the politically correct thing, but he spoke his mind. So, all right, so now Russia is really offended that they're being treated like Haiti. And we all know what Hillary Clinton did in Haiti, don't we? Like, they're not a third world country. And it's funny that we talk about American pride all the time in this country, but we don't somehow comprehend Russian pride. We don't understand that the Russian people have a sense of identity also. And NATO and America don't want to respect that. But yet we want to be respected. And again, I'm no Putin apologist. I mean, I'm not defending Putin. I'm just telling you that he's taking action not based on what we're being told, America. We're being told the dude is a tyrant. He wants to take over the world. Oh, he wants to reclaim Soviet, glory of the old days. No, he wants NATO to stay off of his border. Like, can you imagine what we would do if the Russian military had nuclear missiles or Tomahawk missiles, any missiles for that matter, off the coast? In Alaska, down in Cuba, we would have a hissy fit. We would have an entire meltdown. We would melt all the way down. We wouldn't tolerate it. We would not tolerate it. So why should Vladimir Putin tolerate it? And again, I'm not justifying Putin. I'm telling you, we're being lied to. You're being lied to. And that right there should mean something. So if it doesn't mean anything to you, okay. Okay. I can't count. So after, Russia gets this reward, then NATO and them, they really get disrespectful. They really get disrespectful with Russia. I mean, they take a direct shot at their pride and ego. And see, when stuff like that go down in America, we go to war, man. We're not going to tolerate a lesser country, a country that we deem lesser, to disrespect us. But watch what happened. Listen to Vladimir Putin tell you about the rejection of Russia from NATO and then the disrespect.
Then finally, the year 2000, Mr. Putin is not elected, although elected, to the presidency. And one of the first things he does is to ask for Russia to become a member of NATO. Why not be a member of NATO? NATO was created to defend Europe, and perhaps not only Europe, from Soviet aggression, from a country that you couldn't predict. There is no more Soviet Union, and there is no more Warsaw Pact. Why can't we create an organization where we're part of it, said Mr. Putin, and act together to protect from some kind of aggression? He was told, go take a walk, basically. What about some kind of partnership or becoming part of the European Union? Again, and this is all documented. Everything I say, except when I say my opinion, is documented. You can look it up. And he said, they would, no, you're too big. Your country's too big. You can't. And all the while, Russia was being reminded that it's no longer really that important a country. Now, one of the things you must keep in mind is that much like the Americans, the Russians believe that they have a mission, that their country was selected by destiny. Now, my being French, I laugh at that. I laugh both at you and at them, because we French know that we're the best, and we have no mission. That's it. But seriously speaking, that's a fact. And so the sense of losing this aura of greatness, of being told, we don't care about you. The reaction of the average Russian to that was one of, you're insulting me. You don't respect me.
Okay, I don't need to go that deep into this, do I? Not the whole idea of feeling or knowing that you're being disrespected. I know it's some people in this chat room that understand. Like, you don't disrespect me. When you plead with. Hold on, let me get my button right. Here we go. Hold on. Man, you know who you with. Like, but that's how they feel, man. Like, I'm sure here in this country, we can identify with what it feels to be, feels like to be disrespected, and the type of action, the type of retaliation that takes place when we feel disrespected. You're like, who the think you talking to? I you up. So what's wrong with somebody else taking that stance? You know what I'm saying? Like, you, I mean, it's true though, man. It is really, really, really true. It's really true. But anyway, hopefully you can understand where, this nation is coming from. They tired of being disrespected, man.
Say, first of all, that we are.
I didn't mean to hit that. I didn't mean to hit that button. I'm sorry, I messed up. But they feel disrespected because they were not allowed to come into NATO. They were said they were too big. Really? Stop. They didn't want to have anything to do with Russia because they had plans for Russia, plans for Ukraine. And they weren't going to let unity stop them from doing what they wanted to do, because Russia believes that they've been ordained not by destiny, but by God to go to war with the whore of many nations. For my Bible scholars who like to read the apocalyptic writings of Revelation, Russia is the nation. And there's a description of the bear. Russia believes that its destiny is to take down the eagle. And I'm an American. I was born here. But I cannot deny that our government has been poisoned, infiltrated, and has become globally minded, which is nothing but satanic. It's a satanic movement, because Satan was the one that wanted to be like God and rule over the earth. And we're witnessing men take upon themselves the exact ideology that got Satan kicked out of heaven. But it got Lucifer kicked out of heaven and later became Satan. But this is what's happening. I mean, it's all over the scripture for my Bible scholars. So it's like, so Russia played its part. They got played. They got disrespected. They a little pissed off. But then it really starts to turn up when they go to war with America. I bet y'all didn't know that. I bet you didn't know that in Afghanistan, there were Russian soldiers, Russian Air Force, fighting alongside America with George W. Bush. Check it out.
So now here we have Putin, who, as you know, as soon as 9/11 happens, calls up Bush Jr., W., and offers his help. And yes, and does help in Afghanistan. And if you want to have your soldiers, your military people in Central Asia, right on our borders, be my guest. And in Georgia, absolutely. So it's not just words. We want to fight terrorism together. And gets nothing in exchange. So finally, in 2007, in Munich, speaking to the group of 20 in Munich, Putin says this. This is February 10th. I think it is obvious that NATO expansion does not have any relation with the modernization of the alliance itself or with ensuring security in Europe. On the contrary, it represents a serious provocation that reduces the level of mutual trust. And we have the right to ask, against whom is this expansion intended? And what happened to the assurance of our Western partners made after the dissolution of the Warsaw Pact? Where are those declarations today? No one even remembers them. But I will allow myself to remind this audience what was said. I would like to quote the speech of General Secretary Mr. Werner of Brussels on May 17, 1990. He said at the time, quote, "The fact that we are not ready to place a NATO army outside of German territory gives the Soviet Union a firm security guarantee." Where are these guarantees? And do you know what the answer was? The answer was, yes, but that was guarantees given to the Soviet Union, and you're Russia. Well, what kind of a reaction would you expect?
Whew, that's a heavy one. That's a heavy one. So Russia has not only kept this end of the bargain, they now are investing their military power into a U.S. agenda, and they still get no love. They still get no respect. They're still being called terrorists. Putin is still, painted to the American people as a tyrant and a dictator and authoritarian. And the entire time, NATO is plotting to bring the military of the United States and the military of Vladimir Putin into a conflict that will pretty much put America and all NATO forces against one nation so they can dissolve, literally obliterate Russia. You see, America has interest in Ukraine. I mean, I know you watched Joe Biden and Hunter Biden engaged in, dirty negotiations with Burisma. Billions of dollars being put into Ukraine. Remember, they were going to spend massive money. The Marshall Plan, they were going to spend a ton of money, strategically spend a ton of money. They spent a lot of that money in Ukraine to bring about what? A democracy. And Vladimir Putin don't want the shit that we have in this country in his country. And I don't blame him. I mean, hell, I'm an American and I don't want half the crap that I see going on in this country. Really don't. Don't care to see it at all. Personally, do not care to see it at all. I got 2 more clips, y'all. I really appreciate, you guys, being here with me tonight and, y'all thugging out with me through last night. It was rough last night. But again, I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that's, making a contribution in the chat. John Lovin, I appreciate it, man. We got 2 more clips here, and I want to get through these 2 clips. I'll open the floor for anybody to come in and share anything. If not, I will definitely move on. I'll see you guys the next time if you don't want to talk with me. But we have 2 more clips to get through. And, that was, the unreturned favors. The unreturned favors, from America and from NATO, with Russia, lending aid, military aid to the agenda. I mean, the murderous, just one of the most ridiculous agendas in Afghanistan. But Russia was under the impression that, this was a conflict about terrorism. And they said, you know what, America, we want to fight alongside you. And George W. Bush allowed it. I mean, thousands of United States Marines died in Afghanistan. And Putin trying to be a friend of this country, trying to be a partner with NATO. And they just pissed on him. So this next segment is fake news. And I want to remind you guys that, I played this earlier, but I want you to see it again. And then I'll play our last segment and I'll be out of here for the night. But again, I appreciate you tuning in to the Real Greg Kelly Show. Sit back and just I hope you guys put the pieces of the puzzle together, man. I really do. Here we go.
Are now in a new arms race, which is terrible. We are in a new Cold War, which threatens all of us. The danger of an accidental nuclear exchange has grown. We no longer seem to fear that. There used to be demonstrations. Get rid of nuclear weapons. That's not happening anymore. The possibility of a terrorist organization somehow getting a nuclear weapon has grown. And to make it look like someone used it on each side, out the terrorists. And finally, as someone who works in media, I would like to say that Russian media, mainstream, I mean mainstream media, paints America black. Russian media, mainstream media, controlled directly or indirectly by the government. And much to my surprise, mainstream American media does exactly the same thing vis-a-vis Russia, which to me is amazing because this is supposed to be a free media as differing from the Russian one. As someone who works in Russian media, I can say it's hard to call it a free media. There's some opposition newspapers and radio, but that's not mainstream. They address a very small number of people. So there we are. I think people who call themselves journalists, in my book, they're not journalists. But those people have played and are playing a destructive role in creating the fear, the dislike, the distrust that the people in both countries have vis-a-vis each other.
Have y'all had enough of this fake news thing? Has anybody but me like really, really had enough of fake news? Have we seen enough, America? I mean, do we really see the result of fake news? I mean, it was Donald Trump that exposed it, really, on a national level. But like, are we tired of fake news and the havoc, the death, the violence, man? I mean, the racial division, the tensions, even the people that capitalize on negativity. Have we had enough of fake media? And I know I'm not, this prestigious journalist or whatever. I just go digging for hours and I search the web all over the world, to try to bring, my friends, the people that, watch my show faithfully, and I thank you for it. I just try to bring a perspective that's not in line with a lie. I mean, if you look behind me, this nuclear war thing is for real, man. America, it's for real. These two countries are not afraid to do the thing. We really want to annihilate them, aka Russia, and Russia has no issue with launching nukes. This ain't the Cold War of old. We're being manipulated. We're being manipulated into agreeing with the mainstream narrative so we can, so these people can feel okay with committing, violent, just despicable, inhumane atrocities on human beings. Like, come on, man. I know we've had enough of this COVID shit. It's not real. What they've been telling us has been a lie. I'm sorry, YouTube. That's just my opinion. Not a doctor, not trying to get medical information. I just think it's bullshit. I mean, I might even get put in YouTube jail for this whole fucking video, for real. And I don't even care. I ain't here to make money. The money that come through here, I just put it in my studio, man. And that's real. I don't care if they boot me off. I just think everybody that's in here deserves to know the truth. And that's the bottom line for me. Here we go. We're being manipulated, man. This is our last clip, maybe. I might even have a bonus for y'all. It's for a Greg Kelly show. We're being manipulated.
So I'd like to wind up with a quote from a gentleman. No, I hesitate to use the word gentleman. From a man whose name was Hermann Goering. You all know who he was? There may be some people who are too young to know. Well, he was Hitler's right-hand man, and he commanded the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force. But he was interviewed by an American journalist shortly before he committed suicide. And here's what he said. And I think this is something that we should all remember. Naturally, the common people don't want war, neither in Russia, nor in England, nor for that matter in Germany. That is understood. But after all, it is the leaders of the country who determine the policy. And it is always a simple matter to drag the people along, whether it is a democracy, or a fascist dictatorship, or a parliament, or a communist dictatorship. Voice or no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them they are being attacked and denounce the peacemakers for a lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same in any country, said Mr. Goering. And I think he was absolutely right. And we are being led by our media, by our politicians, in that direction, in both countries. I remember an ad that I saw, a famous American actor, Freeman, yes. And he says, "We are at war." And he does it very well. He's a wonderful actor. But he tells you, we are at war and we must, and da 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 da. And of course, it's very scary. There's nothing I can do about that except speak. And I speak. I'm happy to speak here today. I do this in Russia, and I'll keep doing it as long as I possibly can, because there has to be some voice raised against what's happening. We're being manipulated.
All right, y'all. Will you be that voice, my fellow Americans? Will you be the voice that tells the truth at any cost? Will you put your freedom, your family, your reputation, your future, your security, your comfort on the line for your fellow brothers and sisters, your fellow Americans, no matter what your skin color is? It does not matter. It has never mattered. It's never been the premise of what makes Americans Americans. It's just some sick people in power that push these propagandist lies into our minds, and we trust them and we believe it. I'm telling you, it's time to wake up. If you don't cut the TV off and start getting on your knees before the Almighty and allow Holy Spirit to teach you what's going on, you have to see this, man. Like, these people are masters of deception because their leader, the one who inspires them and empowers them, Satan, the great deceiver, the primitive deceiver of the entire cosmos, is the one that leads them to try and teach and manipulate us. This thing is bigger than Russia, America, and China. There's a war going on between light and darkness. And I'm telling you, we have to choose a side. We can't be in the middle, man. We can't just say, oh, well, I'm neutral. No, neutrality and passivity is cowardness in this nation. It's cowardice everywhere. Doesn't matter. If you're a Christian, most definitely you understand that we were called. The moment that we accepted Christ as Lord, we were inducted into a war between light and darkness. Like, we can't afford to be quiet. We can't afford to be quiet. You must choose a side, and you must speak it out loud. Ain't no sense of being afraid, because death coming to all of us regardless. How you gonna die is what matters. You gonna die on your knees, or you gonna die on your feet? That's what it all comes down to, man. That's why I do this. Like, I don't care. The people might show up tonight and take me to the gulag. It don't matter, because when I face God, I'm gonna tell him I did what you told me to do. I said what you told me to say. I told him the truth. And you watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. That kind of concludes. I want to conclude with one more video. I want y'all to check this out. Some of y'all have already seen this, and it's cool, but I want people to see in a nutshell what all of this entails. I thank everybody for tuning in tonight, for real, man. Y'all don't have any idea. That's what I'm talking about, man. Hey, death is not scary when you know where you're going. When you know what you're standing for, when you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it, you know who you are, you know whose you are, and you know why you were sent here. And you can't be afraid of that thing, because in the kingdom of God, there is no death. It's already been defeated. Already been defeated at the cross. That's why I do what I do, y'all. Woo. Yeah. All right. So I got one more video for y'all. I appreciate it again. If you want to donate, it's down there. I will leave, I'm going to leave a little space for anybody that want to call into the show for whatever reason you want to call in for. It don't matter to me. But again, I appreciate you guys for coming through, man, tonight and bearing with me for last night. It was a doozy. I really messed it up. My bad. But I appreciate you guys, man, stopping by. You feel my heart, really. And I can't thank you guys enough. And I know ain't nobody sending a whole lot of money. It's fine. But as long as God give me breath, man, and I got a brain and I can see through the smoke screens and I can see through all the deception, everything that God give me to bring to you, I'm going to bring it. And it don't matter how many times I get put in YouTube jail, I go do my sentence. I'm going to come right back out guns blazing. And if they kick me off, I'm going to go to Rumble, and I hope y'all follow me. All right, I got one more video for y'all before we sign off. Don't y'all go nowhere now. Don't y'all go nowhere. Y'all sit tight. But this is the conclusion in a nutshell. Greg Reese, his report on InfoWars. Check it out. The very first casualty of war is the truth. They lying to us. We are being manipulated in this country.
The first casualty of war is the truth. And if the American people knew the truth about U.S. interference in Ukraine, they might not be so eager to start World War III. During World War II, Western Ukraine sided with the Nazis. After the war, the CIA helped Ukrainian Nazis evade the Nuremberg trials and began operating with them within the Ukraine. After decades of CIA infiltration, the Ukrainian People's Movement emerged in 1989 and gave birth to extremist groups Svoboda, Trident, and Right Sector, neo-Nazi groups pushing for the ethnic cleansing of Ukraine, extremist groups cultivated by the CIA, supported by the U.S. State Department, and used by the IMF to bring Ukraine to heel. When Yanukovych beat NATO-backed Yushchenko in the 2010 elections, his government was being pressured into signing an EU association agreement by the International Monetary Fund in their typical conquer-by-debt offer that would financially ruin the Ukraine and place them at the mercy of the World Bank. Yanukovych declined their offer. And in today's corrupt world, you're not allowed to say no to the IMF. Funded by Western NGOs associated with George Soros and the CIA, a highly organized color revolution was immediately deployed against Yanukovych. Organizations such as the National Endowment for Democracy trained activist journalists to utilize Facebook, along with 3 brand new television networks created within weeks to recruit people for the protests. This Western-run media campaign was a huge success. The turnout was massive. The CIA has been orchestrating revolutions their entire career, and the first step to their simple formula is to convince people to take to the streets in peaceful protest. They then use agitators to goad the police into violence, and state-run media to ignite the crowd with emotionally charged reports of sacred victims. On November 30th, 2013, the Ukrainian Chief of Staff, associated closely with the U.S. State Department, ordered the streets to be cleared of protesters for the erection of the annual Christmas tree. When the police arrived, they were met by a highly aggressive and well-organized faction of Ukraine's Right Sector, who provoked the police into a violent reaction against peaceful protesters, which is all the Western intelligence media reported on. Predictably, this resulted in more unrest and violence, which was further fueled by U.S. Senator John McCain's support of the protests. Leaked phone calls reveal that the U.S. State Department was orchestrating this coup d'etat from within the U.S. Embassy, with support from Vice President Joe Biden. On February 20th, unidentified snipers, firing from government buildings occupied by the protesters, began firing into the crowd, killing people on all sides. Yanukovych's home and offices were taken by armed mobs, and a new government was put into place with a neo-Nazi element that went on to accept the IMF's spurious loan offer and began murdering the Russian-speaking population of Ukraine in Donbass. As a result of this Western-created quagmire, 96% of the people in Crimea voted in favor of joining Russia. And while the nation celebrated, Western media reported that they were invaded by Russia. Their proof? A Russian military presence which has existed there since 1804. Supporting a criminal war against Russia does not make you a patriot. It makes you a useful idiot of the globalist banking cartel, the very same entities waging war on all of humanity with vaccine passports and experimental jabs. A righteous patriot would call out his government for war crimes. And through fraud and deceit, the United States government has been the world's biggest purveyor of war crimes for decades, all in the name of spreading McDonald's, genetically modified foods, and sexual perversions worldwide. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
All right, y'all. Man, I hope y'all enjoyed that right there. I really do. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope it was good to you. I hope you felt exactly what I was feeling. Like, we've been lied to, man. And you know, it's this time that we wake up, y'all. It's time we wake up. Okay. If anybody has anything to say, I'm going to put the number back on the screen. You got a couple minutes. You got a couple minutes. Just a couple. All right? I would love to hear from you. If you don't want to put the message in the, you know, if you don't want to come up and share anything, you know, put anything that you have to say down in the chat. Again, I would love to hear what you have to say. I hope you guys got a lot out of this tonight. I really do. Whew. You got 10 minutes. Okay? That's all you got. That's all I'm going to give you. But while I'm waiting for somebody to get the courage to come on up on the show, I really do, man. I hope y'all got something out of this. I did cut a few things out, and it's cool, but I didn't want to hold you guys too long, man. I wanted you to, you know, just kind of, you know, get a glimpse into my world. Like, this is how I see the world. You know, this is the way God gives it to me, and I just know for a fact I'm in no way unsure that we being lied to by our media. We being lied to by our politicians, man. Okay? So, like, I have no doubt. And I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just giving you the information that really opened my eyes. And that's it. That's what I got. Yeah, I know I'm going to be ended up, you know, called a terrorist. Amanda, I do, man. I do. Hey, Nick, I appreciate you, girl. Willow, I appreciate you guys. Because AC, I love you, man. Thank you. Hey, when you call me during these last couple of days, man, it really inspired me, man. I appreciate you. I got to get you up here with me soon. For real. Like, I really do, man. You give me energy, bro. You got a ton of energy in you, man. Don't let nobody tell you that you don't have no purpose, man. I feel you, brother. When we talk, man, I get energized, for real. You encourage me and don't even know it. Thank you. Bear reacts. Hey, brother, I'm sorry I didn't get to your question. I will next time. John Lovin, thank you for being here, man. You know, everybody that, you know, they just keep on, you know, giving me stuff, giving me. Amanda, you know, I respect you, love you for real. Like, you my sister, that's how I see you, girl. I appreciate you for real. Everything that you do when we talk, I appreciate it. Taylor, I see you, girl. And you're right. It sounded just like 2020, January 6th. I'm telling you, man. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up, y'all. Stacy, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you guys. You know, hey, Deborah, I don't even know you, honey, but thank you for being here. I do. Come back again. Share the videos. Share the channel. Like the channel, y'all. You know, I'm trying to get my subs up, not because I want the money, but I mean, I don't care if the money come. If it come, it's good. It's a blessing from the Lord, but I'm committed to just tell it like it is, no matter what they throw at me. Make sure y'all like and share this channel. Jalen Brown, and thank you. I have no idea who you are, but I thank you that you're here tonight. I appreciate it. Hey, if I mentioned you, Taylor, before, you get another shout out. Sugar baby, for real. I don't even know what to say, man. You know how I feel. Hey, Nana, I appreciate it. Thank you for your support, sweetheart. I do, man. I appreciate you. You one of my closest friends. Brooke, you know I love you, girl. Love talking to you, man. It's another sister that just gives me inspiration. Like she a real friend. Tempered Adverse, I appreciate it. Thanks for being here tonight and sharing this with me. Sharing in this with me, should I say. I'm just trying to make sure I hit everybody tonight because tonight was special for me. I'm out there in deep waters. If I drown, so be it. Guess what? The love that y'all got for me gonna be my life jacket. Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. Jason, I appreciate the sub again, man. Hopefully me and you can link up and do a show, brother. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Hey, Jennifer, I told you I'm going to call you Warrior. Thanks for being here. I'm going to get on out the way for now. And y'all know what it is, man. To stay American, you got to stay American, man. Just love one another. Again, just let's throw all of this nonsense, all of this masked and unmasked, all of this Republican and Democrat. Don't worry about that. Just worry about how much love you can get those that hate you, those that despise you without a cause. That's special right there. And we're going to keep on doing this thing called America. We're going to keep on doing it. We ain't going to let it fail. I'm going to see y'all next time. TCB, I see you. I'm going to see y'all next time, man. I thank you for tuning in. Y'all know what y'all can do. Y'all can ride to the music. I love you. I see you again, America. I'm out. Woo! God, crazy as hell, man. Bear, you stupid. American Alpha, what's up, man? I'm signing off. Hey, I love y'all. We got to speak the truth. If we don't, we going to die slaves, man. I'm going to see y'all next time. Peace.